Welcome everyone to the Volvo S60. This is the last car in Volvo's lineup that had to be refreshed under their new Chinese ownership. The S60 is a compact executive sedan based on the scalable product architecture. Now this one I have is the T6 all-wheel drive R design, and there's a lot of similarities between it and its fraternal twin, the V60 wagon. With this vehicle, I'm not sure if it's the color or the implementations of the R design traits like the black wing mirrors, these larger 19-inch wheels and that grille, but this just looks like such a brilliant vehicle, and it has revealed a few more surprises that I wasn't prepared for. So let's break this S60 down, go for a drive, and at the end of the video I'm going to place this car on my overall ranking system to see where it lies against other sedans. So the S60, first things you need to know, it either comes with the T5, the 2-litre turbocharged 4-cylinder engine with front-wheel drive, or it comes with this, the T6 all-wheel drive, and that is your 2-litre 4-cylinder that has a turbocharger and a supercharger that produces 295 pound-feet of torque and 316 horsepower. I've experienced this T6 in other Volvo models, and with this one, it's packed into the smallest and lightest vehicle. I still have a desire to put a wagon in my driveway. I loved that V60, as it's a car that just offers a lot. It doesn't feel like it's propelling the car any faster. It doesn't feel like it has any different characteristics. You have a lot more whine from the supercharger of what I'm noticing in this R design, but it still has a fair amount of shove, and because you have that supercharger initially giving you that power, it then leads into the turbocharging when it eventually spools up to give the power that it needs to deliver. It seems like the power just continues and continues to grow. It's darty and it's playful, and that's something I really didn't think I'd ever say in a Volvo. Just like all of the other Volvos, it comes with an 8-speed transmission as well, and this one in the R design has paddles behind the steering wheel. You can change the gears manually with the stick down here, but these ones just feel like they work so much better than any of the other vehicles I came across. They feel very similar to the XC40 that I had. That one was an R design as well, but these feel firmer somehow. They feel like the motion that you need to click up and down is a more well-ratcheted system in a way, if you want to think of it like that. And when it comes to a driving machine, this Volvo has impressed me. I wasn't going in really expecting, you know, a fully fledged sports sedan, and that's not what it is. But with the power, and the steering wheel is chunky, the throttle is alert, and the gear shifts actually change reasonably well. Downshifts, not so much, but even in manual dynamic mode, the car will still shift gears for you if it doesn't think you're doing a good enough job. Not only did Volvo wait to the S60 to finally round out its modern lineup, but I actually think they saved the best looking car to this one, and I really thought the V60 was the best looking car, but looking at it from the rear where you're going to see the most distinction, it has a short deck lid, but it has a very sizable trunk inside. The way that the top of the taillights cut into the boot lid reminds me very much of the Audi A3 and A4, and then with the R design we get these gorgeous 19-inch wheels, a different grille, and a few other blacked out touches that contribute to a much more aggressive looking vehicle. I love this shot here, as you can see just how low to the ground this S60 is. If you're looking at getting yourself into an S60 or a V60, you're looking at about a $2,500 upcharge to get into the wagon. There's also a little more character out of the exhaust. In all the other T6s, I felt like I could only really hear the whine of the supercharger, the whoosh of the turbo, and that thrum of the engine. But with this one, you can hear sort of a little bassy note coming out from the rear. If you ever have your foot pinned to the floor and the car changes gear, you get a little fart almost out of the exhaust. In the world of compact executive cars that have a little bit of driver's focus, I think this Volvo actually stands up quite well. You can change the different driving modes with this little roller switch down here into your expected eco, comfort, dynamic, and then you also have an individual mode where you can change around some of the settings to your liking. When you go into dynamic, you immediately feel the difference with the bumps and cracks on the road. For a company like Volvo, I know they're making more engaging cars. They want enthusiasts to turn to them. but it surprises me that they've actually gone this far with such a consumer spec model. With the S60, there's a whole bunch of standard tech that we all love to see. We've got the 9-inch touchscreen in front of us that has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. You'll start off with a basic 8-inch driver's display screen, a panoramic sunroof, power folding headrests, heated front seats, and the IntelliSafe active safety system. So that's your lane keeping assist, adaptive cruise control, and pre-collision warning. Just like any of the other Volvos, you can option up to some other goodies. So in front of me, I have the 12.3 configurable driver's display. It's not as sharp or as refined or as crisp as I think you can find in the Audi virtual cockpit. Certainly doesn't have that level of customization either. I've got 360-degree cameras in this model, Volvo's semi-autonomous pilot assist, and heated rear seats with 4-zone climate control. Touching on the rear seats, they aren't as roomy as the V60 because of course we have that cut down headline, but I'm still able to sit behind myself with a little room to spare. The only gripe I have with the rear is that you can't put the windows all the way down. There's still a few inches of glass remaining, so if you ever wanted to hang your arm out the window, that's going to be a bit uncomfortable for you. You have a power socket back there. You can see it has a ski pass-through in the middle seat, and the seats fold 60/40. The R design gets these interesting seats where they have these fabric inserts alongside all of the leather. It's also here on the door cards as well. The seats are excellent. I feel like I've got great support for my legs as you have a good amount of thigh extension. You sit a little deeper and you can feel the side bolstering around you, but it doesn't feel tight. It's largely a sober space. I like the implementation of this fabric. It feels premium. And I said it before and I'll say it again. I had the V90 cross country with the Bowers & Wilkins sound system, and when I was returning it back to the dealership, I actually felt a little bit of sadness. I was blasting all of my favorite songs just so I could hear the depth of them one last time. And I step into this one and it has the exact same sound system too, with the Gothenburg mode. This is without question the best sound system I've ever come across in a car. A heads-up unit which, even on its brightest setting, isn't bright enough. It's not bad. It'll display your speed, the road sign warnings, and other things that you can figure up there too. The rest of the interior is really well put together. I have some leather stitching here on the door cards. The soft touch plastic reaches all the way down to the very base of them as well. We've got these aluminium inserts here along the dashboard, and for the slider where you have your 3 cup holders. I really don't have anything to really complain about in the interior. Well, I've got my typical gripe where I don't like glossy black buttons on the steering wheel. I think that is a terrible mistake, and it's interesting, this R design has those, but when I was in that Volvo XC40, that was an R design and it didn't have these gloss black buttons. They were a flat grey plastic. And for all the buttons that feel fantastic, I don't like how the volume knob is so light to the touch. It doesn't wobble around or anything. It's fixed in there very nicely, but I would like it to feel a little more forceful. The amount of energy that you put into it, I want it to have more of a clickiness to it in a way. Like I said, those headrests in the rear are power folding, so if you go through your menu, slide over to the left, you'll be able to find your headset fold and then simply hit a button and they'll fall down. On the driver's side, you can see you've got these 2 buttons that can power release your rear seats to help you fold them down with ease. So the S60 is a very impressive piece of kit, and I have truly been taken back by how well of a performer it is. Something that I wasn't expecting out of this Volvo. Of course, it isn't a fully fledged sports sedan. It's not even a halfway model. For Volvo, they now have a new independent company called Polestar, and that is its own separate entity building electrified sports cars. And right now there's an S60 T8 Polestar engineered model, so think of that as Audi S-Line or a BMW M240i, for example. In all honesty, I can't find any serious issues with this vehicle. There's nothing that really upsets or aggravates me about it. It lacks that final degree of involvement, but quite frankly, that isn't its mission. So in one of the most competitive spaces out there, I really think that you should consider owning this S60 T6 R design. It isn't the most engaging car, but it provides the driver with some enthusiasm that you might want in your average commute. It's packed with lots of text, a standout looker even in this packed segment. So that's been everything from me. Thank you so much for taking the time to watching this video. Please like the video if you liked it, share if you think other people will like it too, and if you want to hit that subscribe button just down below, that will do the world for me. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again.